of government, because government is made up of imperfect people. So I think that's part of the idea. Libertarians, true libertarians, would be all the way to the right on that, and just say, hey, you know, keep government out of literally everything, which
Yeah.
is really anarchy when it comes down to it.
Yeah,
Being
that's
a
anarchism.
libertarian is ultimately taken to its furthest extreme. That's anarchy. Um, but I think a lot of the ideas behind America is, hey, that's inevitably going to happen. There's going to be some measure of corruption. The government shouldn't be trusted with too much power, so keep government very small. And
Hmm.
in my opinion, we've gone way past that. So that actually takes into another point. You're asking what I'm just passionate about politically. That's another major thing for me that I see. I am definitely in favor of a much smaller government than exists right now.
Hmm.
And for sure don't want to see it get any bigger. So I'm naming right off the bat here two subjects which I'm most passionate about, pull me towards the right politically. Abortion is
Yep.
a huge one for me because I see that as thousands and thousands of people every year who are not having their rights protected. So the second issue, the size of government, I'd love to see it shrink. I would love to see that happen, go in that direction. Um, and because I see us already having moved significantly past the size of government that our founding fathers had in mind. Not that they're perfect people. When I just say our founding fathers, it can almost have this like American religious kind of a sense to it. That's not how I mean, but clearly they have done a lot of things right in the founding documents to get us to where we are. And so yeah, that's another big thing for me is I'd love to see government pulled back in a number of areas and just overall
Mm.
have a much smaller budget. Would love to see the national debt worked on to get that thing down. I don't like that it's there, looming in the background, and
Hmm.
increasing the size of government is not going to be the way that we get out of debt.
Yeah, okay. Do you have things that you've determined in your mind that you would like to be cut? Like, are there specific things that you're like, okay, this is what needs to change to get that size of the government down? Because I think a lot of people would probably agree. I actually, the way it works out in polling is something like almost it's something like a majority of people agree with the social programs, and then the majority of the people also agree with shrinking government.
Hmm.
And so it's kind of like,
Yeah,
well, those two go hand in hand.
right.
So do you have anything that you feel like is clear, like this needs to be done not at the government level so we can shrink the size of the government?
Yeah, for sure. Well, for starters, I think there are a number of national programs, federal programs, and I really don't know what I'm talking about with this. This is just my interpretation of it right now. It seems like there are federal programs that would be better off being state programs, and for states to take on the responsibility of deciding how those programs run. So that's one thing.
Hmm.
So you're asking, are there specific things that should get cut?
Like healthcare. Let's get straight into healthcare. Do you think that healthcare should be subsidized? Do you think that part of it should be subsidized?
Hmm.
Do you think there's a way of dividing healthcare into things that should and shouldn't be subsidized by the government?
I think that there should be a social safety net in healthcare. I think there should be some kind of program that doesn't let people bleed out on the street because they don't have insurance or they can't afford to pay for the hospital. I don't think that that should happen in America. And so I think that, there needs to be some social safety net of grace to catch people. I don't think that we'd be living in a very moral society if we didn't have something like that. Forget who said that, but you can judge the morality of a society by how they treat the least among them. Something like that. It's probably not exactly the wording. And I think there's a lot of truth to that. So no, I
Yeah.
don't have a lot of specific things with healthcare. I just don't know enough to know what should be cut. But I just think
Yeah.
Medicaid in general as a program could be significantly smaller. Um, the most glaring thing to me, and a lot of countries don't have to factor this into the equation in the same way that America has. Um, I think our military spending is just absurdly too high. I think,
Yeah.
forget the numbers. I wish I knew better. Why I wish I knew any statistics about this, but I just know that
You guys spend
America's
more on your military than the next 5 countries combined.
there. It is. There's a good. I knew a couple of things like that were bouncing around in my mind, but I couldn't put my
Mhm.
finger on them. Okay, wow. So we spend more on our military than the next 5 countries all put together. So that to me is like way out of control. I think a lot of the budget problems. I don't know the numbers. I should look more into this and figure it out. But it seems to me, just from even knowing that if we even made that like, hey, let's just make it as much as the next 2 countries after us combined, or even maybe just like a little
Mhm.
bit more than the than whoever's in second place. I just feel
Yeah.
like, we could do something like that and still have this really robust military. And so
Yeah.
that one seems obvious to me,
Yeah.
no matter what you think, even if you think America should have the most dominant military in the entire world and you're in favor of that, you could still say like, okay, but we probably don't need to spend that much money on this military. We could probably tone
Yeah.
this back at least a little bit. And so yeah, it feels like a really obvious area to me to cut some spending.
That's great. I totally agree with you, which I was not really expecting us both to fall exactly in that spot. Let me read to you some statistics.
Oh, here we go.
The United States actually spends more on defense than the next 10 countries combined. I thought I heard
No,
5 countries,
next
but it's
10
10.
combined.
Yeah,
Oh
so
my
so
gosh.
America spends annually, so maybe what is this? 2008, 2019, $732 billion. And the next top 10 countries is accumulated to $726 billion. And that is China first, which is huge. China is like a third of that.
Okay.
Um, and then beyond that is all just tiny little things. India, Russia, Saudi Arabia, France, Germany, United Kingdom, Japan, South Korea, Brazil. Not surprised that Canada is not on that list.
No way.
Our 2 airplanes don't cost that much.
Yeah, no. You get those 2 airplanes and then all the rest of the budget just goes to pay for free stuff
So
for you guys.
here's something. Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Goes to pay
Here's
for
something.
free stuff because it's actually your
Yeah.
money.
Yeah. What's that? There's some phrase I heard. I love how this whole podcast is all like stuff that we heard and we don't know who to like attribute it
Yeah.
to. I heard a phrase like politics gets corrupt when the politician realizes that he can bribe the people with their own money.
Yeah. Oh man,
Is
gosh.
that good? Yeah.
Uh,
So, but yeah, honestly, this thing about Canada not having a military, I honestly think that's actually kind of a big deal. It's like we actually just rely on you being a good big brother. And so you, Caleb, as a taxpayer, you pay for a lot of things that I actually benefit from because I don't have to have like military spending because Canada doesn't really have a military. Sorry, Canadian military people, you're not real. You're not real. You're not good enough. Try harder. um, but like we don't really have to have a military because we always just go, oh, if something bad happened here, America would just like come to our defense. Totally true. And
yeah.
so yeah, it's kind of hard even with healthcare and stuff like that. It's hard to parse numbers when we don't have much of a military budget because we
Mhm.
rely on you and your military budget. So even
Yeah.
comparing like healthcare systems from Canada to America can be, tricky for that reason.
Right. Wow. So we could cut military spending in America by over 50%. We could cut it in half and then some, and we'd still be spending more on our military than any other country in the world.
Yes, that
That's
is correct.
crazy.
Yeah, but even still, like that's 360 something
I wonder how far that would go.
billion
Like, I
dollars.
wonder what the
Yeah,
numbers are
exactly.
for like, yeah, these other social programs comparatively.
I well, yeah, and we should. As far as I understand, I think your budget is like your military spending is 20% of your budget, and I'm pretty sure that your entitlement spending is 60% of your budget, like give or take a few percentage points.
Okay.
And so, yeah, your entitlement spending is really where
Hmm.
you are spending your money,
Yeah.
like beyond everything else.
Still
Obviously, a
though,
lot on welfare and
still
stuff.
though, I mean, if it's
Still,
20% of the
yeah,
budget, we cut it in half. That's 10% cut off the budget. That's still a really big deal.
10% of debt that we're not putting on our kids.